Wide Angle with Karen Coleman on News Talk 106 to 108.
Let's look at the Irish stories because there are a combination of there are many stories being written about the An Bord Snip report, which is due to be given to the Cabinet during the week, and also a ongoing reaction to the IMF report that came out during the week. Sunday Business Post, as its headline, has ministers to get €5 billion menu of spending cuts. Pat Leahy and Ian Keogh, writing today, say that ministers will this week begin choosing from a €5 billion menu of cuts in public spending drawn up by economist Colm McCarthy and An Bord Snip Nua. McCarthy's report will be given to Finance Minister Brian Lenihan this week and brought to Cabinet shortly thereafter. Charlie O'Connor, according to the Sunday Business Post, and again it's analysed in some of the other papers as well, this report is going to suggest big cuts in public sector spending. Also, social welfare looks like it's going to be radically hit as well, and there are many other suggestions too of different cuts. But certainly, the big issue will be whether the government will take on board the suggestions, assumed suggestions in this report to cut public sector spending.
Well, I think, if you look at all the coverage, to some extent, we're being softened up in relation to the options. And I mean, particularly if you look at the leading article in the Sunday Times this morning, social welfare curbs cannot be avoided. So there's a lot of that going on, and there's a lot of speculation, and maybe we should wait till the government actually gets the report. I mean, I would have to say politically, I would take the view that the last thing we should be doing is cutting social welfare, and I know there'll always be arguments, but I've always taken the view, and I have a strong commitment to social inclusion, because you can't, keep hitting the vulnerable. And if you do that, and there's an interesting point to be made about social welfare. I mean, I sometimes say, and sometimes people chide me about it, that I try to bring to my politics my own life experiences. And I was made redundant 3 times in my life. Now, there are those in Dáil Éireann who'll tell you they'll get me again. But just to be serious about it, I know what it's like to go home to your family, and then to have to go to the local dole office. And let's remember that the number of unemployed at the moment in the country includes people who were never unemployed before. They were never without a job. There's a new poor. And I'm sure that reading the papers this morning in right throughout the country, people who've lost their jobs for the first time are looking aghast at these reports, that not only is it difficult to get social welfare payments, as we heard during the week, but now they might be cut. And I just hope that
So you wouldn't agree with cuts at all when it comes to dole payouts, because of course there are many other suggestions as well, including a reduction in child benefit. And according to the Sunday Business Post, this report is recommending the abolition of a number of social welfare programmes and entitlements, which it argues are no longer viable or required, and it is suggesting that there will be cuts in child benefit, or at least there will be means testing of child benefit payments.
Well, I think the challenge is that the social welfare bill is now so huge that it is affecting the performance of the economy. And I think if people are looking in a serious way at various programmes, maybe that's fair enough. But I am saying, that I take the view that we should not cut social welfare payments to those who need them. We should not. We saw last year, for example, what happened when the government interfered, and I'll use that word, with the medical card situation, and there was a huge furore. And there are those who say that we should not be picking on the vulnerable, and that's where I am at politically.
Well, they're saying here the budget is 21 billion, and they have to find a way to cut some of it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, let's have a look at it, and I'm sure there are people who will look at it in a very serious way. But I am saying, that there will be huge opposition, in my view, to cutting social welfare payments
from
those who
backbenchers like yourself.
Yeah, I think I have a role to play.
And does that mean you would revolt against any vote on this?
I mean, I'm asked this question every single week, particularly in relation to private members. Will you vote against the government? No, I don't plan to vote against the government. I believe that on the Fianna Fail backbenches I have a role to play to articulating the issues as I see it. And, I'm a Dublin-based TD. I live in Tala, and it's not just about Tala. It's about defending people who need a voice.
I know, but what would happen if, we don't know when, there's some suggestion that this report will not be made public for the moment. What happens if all of this emerges during the next budget later on in the year? And one of the recommendations is a severe cut in social welfare payments, whether it's through child benefit schemes or indeed direct dole payments. Then would you at that stage feel that you have to vote against the government? Because this is one of the issues about what will bring down the current government. Will it be the Greens pulling out, or will it be a revolt by backbenchers who are fed up of the likes of these type of cuts being implemented?
Well, Karen, I'm not going to let you, if you don't want me putting it that way, bring me up the line of saying I'm going to vote against the government, because that is not my plan. I'm a Fianna Fail TD. I was elected in the last 2 elections, when a lot of people thought I wouldn't be, by the way, as a Fianna Fail TD. I'm on the Fianna Fail backbenches. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Social and Family Affairs Joint Oireachtas Committee, and I believe I have a clear role and a focus to say to government.
But you're saying to me you are against cuts in the social welfare budgets, but at the same time, if it comes to the crunch, you won't vote against those.
Well, you see,
cuts.
Sometimes there is confusion as to what would be achieved. Well,
you're either a man of your word and you stand by what you say, Charlie O'Connor, or you're not.
No, Karen, you have a role to play within the Fianna Fáil Parliamentary Party to try to influence government in relation to these issues. I am not going to signal this morning, and I'm sure you'd love me exclusively to reveal that I'm going to vote against the government, but no, that is not my plan.
But you have said you won't vote against the government. That's what you've said.
No, I'm not going to vote against the government. I do not plan to vote against the government, but I feel I have a very clear role to articulate concerns that people will express to me. And I am saying to you, that a way should be found of dealing with cuts or adjustments that don't affect the most vulnerable in our society.
OK, now I know.
The Wide Angle with Karen Coleman on News Talk 106 to 108.